My name is Jake Puckett. This is my wife, Laura Mikas. We run Crowfly Farms. We're based in Marion, North Carolina. Got 82 acres, raise cattle, sheep, and hogs. Our cattle and sheep are 100% grass-fed, grass-finished. We raise our hogs entirely in the forest. They're right over there right now. We feed them an entirely soy-free organic feed. We started farming about a year and a half ago, and we got into it for a number of reasons. One of those being, it started out really with just trying to source really good quality meat. We had an amazing butcher shop that was a whole animal butcher nearby, and we went in there and we were able to start sourcing these products, and we just began to get more and more interested in where our food came from, what that looked like. We've both been very environmentally conscious and started to become aware of regenerative practices and how you could actually use animals in a system to improve the environment rather than degrade the environment. And we just didn't really have any background in farming per se. My dad was a veterinarian, so I grew up around animals, spent a lot of time on farms as a kid, missed that aspect of my life in adulthood, and we started talking, and I was kind of looking for a career change, and we sort of landed on this crazy idea of starting a farm, and here we are now. We've got about 80 hogs running around, 20-ish head of cattle, 20 sheep, and we've been at it for a year and a half now.
He says we, which is generous, but Jake is usually a one-man operation. I work full-time off-farm, so that presents plenty of challenges. He's incredible at being innovative, figuring out different ways to do things that you would never expect one human can do. But he usually makes it happen, although there are some jobs that just have to have two people. And so we coordinate that around when I can be here, which is usually evenings and weekends. And so sometimes things don't happen at the time that would be ideal because it has to work around this sort of unique schedule for us.
And I guess, as Luna was saying, this is not the most profitable line of work. We're doing this because we truly believe that we're really making an impact. We're providing amazing food for people. We're improving the environment in the process. And we're also just giving our animals the best life that we are capable of giving them. We're trying to put them in systems where they excel. We look at a particular species and we've identified breeds that do well within our context. And that's sort of how we built this system. That's why our pigs are in the woods and our cattle and sheep are out grazing. There's a lot of challenges associated with running a farm, financial being a very obvious sort of topical one. This is like, I wish I had 3 to 4 employees. As Luna said, I'm a single individual human being managing all of this myself, trying to make money outside of this job when I can. The financial stresses of this are very real. I mean, it's a topic of discussion more than I'd like to admit. One of the other things that's a real challenge, in my opinion, is just differentiating ourselves within the market from other people, because I feel like we're trying to operate here and regenerate at the highest order possible. And that's a self-imposed standard. We don't get a seal. We don't get a stamp for that. We're doing that because we believe it's the right thing to do. And that's a part of our ethics. It's a part of our moral code. We do it for ourselves and for the animals. But when people say, I can get pork for $2.60 a pound hanging weight, why does yours cost $5.50? I say, well, it's a completely different product. Like, starting with the fact that my feed costs probably triple what even the best non-GMO feed cost. And non-GMO, in my opinion, is questionable at best. They're still dousing their fields with glyphosate prior to planting every single bit of this. So it may be not genetically modified, but that still means that glyphosate's going into our riparian zones. That means pollinators are getting killed. it's not a sustainable system. And when we are compared to these other farms, even within the so-called regenerative world, I struggle with that. And that's why we oftentimes invite folks out to our farm to see the way that we're doing it, talk to us directly, and also just see that like it's us, this is it right here. And a lot of the time it's just me, and it's the physical labor, it comes with the job. I don't mind that at all, but I have to be the marketing director. I have to be the delivery guy. I'm the feed guy. I'm the graphic designer. I'm literally doing every single thing. And, a lot of people get paid to do those jobs. And that's just one of the 15 different jobs I have here on the farm that no one ever thinks about, but I have to do it. Not to mention the looking for grants because we don't have money, the amount of time I spend writing, trying to get grants, working with NRCS, trying to find money. I mean, it's endless.
And if I might add, all of these issues come once you're able to actually start the farm. A lot of people like to romanticize this work, which I think we both did prior to getting started. And the reality is startup costs are so difficult, and there's so little help for first generation farmers that I think a lot of people would love to do what we do. I mean, we have friends all the time that just see, whatever your Instagram feed is or things like that. And they're like, your life is incredible. You're out in the woods with piglets and with, the cattle and doing all of these things. How do you get started in that? And it is so challenging. There's very little funding to help you get started. Most of the people who are farming currently have been handed down land, they've been handed down animals, they've been handed down their equipment. So if you are truly a first generation farmer, it's really tough to get started, which I think is why more people aren't doing it.
I think that for me at least, and I think for both of us, regeneration means that we're going to leave this place better than when we found it. It's not going to be stable. It's not going to stay where it's at. It's not going to decline. When we walk away, when we step away from this property and hopefully hand it to someone that wants to manage it in the same way that we do, it's going to be a better place than when it was when we got here. There's going to be more organic matter in the soil. We're going to be growing more forage. Our forest is going to be healthier. The wildlife that's here is going to be more abundant. I think we really are trying to look at things holistically and try to make sure that every aspect of life, both domesticated and wild, is benefiting from our presence here. And so I think I'd say that's what regeneration means to me.
Yeah, and I think I would add, coming from growing up in a pretty major city, my relationship with food and everybody I know, my family, my friends, our relationship with food is so removed. And so part of it for me is being able to introduce people to a different type of food system and get people to understand where their meat comes from. I grew up in the Midwest. People love eating meat, but nobody really wants to see how it's done. And there's reasons for that. And more sort of commercial operations, I wouldn't want to see that either. But then you come here and see this alternative to the way animals can be raised. And it really sort of, for me, I'm trying to regenerate people's relationship with where their food comes from.
I mean, what Commons is trying to do is really amazing because, as I mentioned earlier, I have an endless amount of jobs and the workload I have is insurmountable. It's just I can't get it all done. So one component of that is selling product. The amount of time I spend on the phone with restaurants or sending emails, trying to acquire customers, doing marketing, spending money on that. Commons is able to find farms that are not just saying they're regenerative, they are actually being monitored through ecological outcome verification. So we're proving that they're actually regenerative. There's no greenwashing involved with that, but it's providing an outlet for us to sell our product that I don't have to go out and do all of the work to find that. And it's also if you see that stamp on the box when you purchase that, you know that it's coming from a small farm, you know that they're using best management practices, and you know that they truly care. And you're also just impacting a small family, a small farm in a major, major way. Like buying $300 worth of meat might not seem like anything to some folks, but if it's $300 of our product, makes a big difference here on our farm. And so every little bit counts. And I think that it's also been really amazing to meet the other farmers within the network and just sort of have someone that you can lean on, folks that you can talk to, and just try to understand that you're not the only one going through this, because it does seem that way a lot of times when I'm out here by myself in the woods and I'm dragging electric netting over sticks and cursing constantly. It's tough and nobody sees that. There's so much hard work that goes into doing this job that is behind the scenes, and it's not the Instagram. That's not what you're seeing. You know, we've got animals dying and it's terribly painful. And then there's moments of complete beauty. And sometimes these things are happening within a span of 15 minutes. And I've said it before, but I've never worked a job where I've gone through so many emotions in the course of a single day, not to mention an hour. I mean, just from in complete awe of my surroundings and the sheer beauty of everything to just massive disappointment and frustration. And it's a hard job. And I believe in it. I believe in what we're doing. And I think it's important. And I think that it has to keep happening. But if we can't keep our doors open, then this all goes away. And so there's not going to be any more regeneration on this 82 acres if we can't pay our bills at the end of the month, if we can't sell our product. And so we're truly dependent on the consumer for us to be able to continue to do what we do. Because I would love to just manage. I wish that's all I could do. That's my favorite thing. I love seeing what happens through good management. I love the way our animals grow, how happy they are. I want to just be able to manage this land, but unfortunately for me to stay in business, for us to make a living, we have to sell that product. And that's where the consumer comes in. And that's why places like the Commonwealth Network that are really trying to support truly small, regional, local farmers. And local is not good enough. Just because it's local doesn't mean that it's good. There's plenty of bad local. Like drive down the road and look at the guy's farm down the way. Not all local is good. So when you're getting something from Commons, you know that it has been vetted, you know that it's a good quality product, and you can trust what you're putting into your body when you consume that. And also just know that that money is going through the hands of people like us. So.
Anything else? Cool. That was awesome.